All right, David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. To my audience, if you didn't get the full gist of who David is through the intro, let me just show you something that I find extremely, extremely cool. My company uses it. My clients use it. Handwritten. The way I describe handwritten is the idea that old school is now new school. And what I mean by that is that back in the day, print was a really big thing. Before digital came around, everybody was in print. Now it seems like people transitioned. But so many people transitioned that, you know what? Like, there's actually a massive opportunity to go and step backwards. But the ultimate opportunity is to actually kind of say, if you are someone in my life that I care about, specifically a client, the best way to do it is to take some time out of your schedule to handwrite cards. The problem is that we just don't have the time to do it, or we don't do it, or we try to do it, and we don't come out with something as cool as what David builds every single day through his company. David, why don't you unpack this for me? Tell me what is Handwrytten, how'd you start it, why you started, what's your story?
Sure, yeah. And yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing Handwrytten for 7 years now. Prior to Handwrytten, I ran a mobile marketing company. We started back in 2004. So before the iPhone, we were doing texting for real estate, quickly pivoted out of real estate and got into general texting. And we were sending like 1 million texts a day for brands like Abercrombie & Fitch, Toys R Us, Sam's Club, Office Max. And sold that company in 2012, had to keep with the new owners until 2014. And in that time, I was thinking, gee, a lot has changed since I started Sell It. That company was called Sell It. And, now we have texting everywhere. We have push notifications. We have Slack, Twitter. All these other forms of communication are out there kind of popping in your ears left and right.
Yeah.
And none of it really creates a connection anymore. The average office worker gets about 135 emails a day. They spend 25% of their time just managing their inbox. So, at this point, emails aren't a gift, it's a chore, and nobody even reads them. They just try to delete them as fast as they can. But what I noticed is when people would get at my company, at Sell It, when they'd get a handwritten note, not only would they open it, not only would they read it, but they'd keep it and put it on display on their desk, on their bookshelf, and it holds a special place. And I always like sending handwritten notes, but I never do because I'm a lazy, at the time I was a lazy 30-something-year-old, now I'm a lazy 40-something-year-old. And I wanted, like I'd send notes to my family for birthdays and I'd buy the greeting cards and never mail them because I didn't have a stamp. So what I decided to do is after I got rid of Sell It, I figured there was an opportunity to automate the sending of handwritten notes and make it as easy as sending an email to send a handwritten note. And the way we do this is through technology. It's technology on the front end. We have a website, an iPhone app, Android app, Zapier, Shopify integration, Shopify through Zapier right now, but we're coming out with our own Shopify. Zapier integration, HubSpot, Salesforce. We have all this software on the front end for you to get your notes into our system. And then on the back end, we have 145, we add more every week, but 145 robots we build here in Phoenix. Each robot holds a real pen, and it writes out your handwriting, your note in the handwriting style of your choice, on the stationery of your choice. And you can even go on our website and create your own stationery, and we'll write on that. So starting at $3 and change, you could send somebody a handwritten note written on a custom piece of stationery with a real stamp, handwritten envelope, and just it gets taken off your plate. And the most important piece of all this is really the automation, because even if I say, hey, log into my website, Chris, and go and place a handwritten note, you might do it 3, 4, 5 times, but until it becomes automated, it's not going to get done as often as you need to get it done. So our gold standard is really automation.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then you can also add your signature as well, right?
Yep. We can duplicate your signature. It's a small one-time fee. Or we could create your own handwriting style entirely, which I don't think is fully necessary. But if you really want it, we'll do it. It's it's a whole week of time of one of our graphic designers to create. Because when we create handwriting, and I have one note here, I'll cover up the name. Every character, there's like 5 or 6 variations of a character. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
The line spacing is different. So if you have 2 O's together, those 2 O's are going to look different. If you have 2 T's, depending on your handwriting, whether it's 1 crossbar or 2 that cross those T's, an L at the beginning of the word looks different than an L at the end. It's really an art to create this randomized character look. And that's what we do with our handwriting system. The whole thing is patented. We have a patent on the robot. We're actually applying for multiple patents right now on other aspects. The software, though, that makes the handwriting, we don't patent, because when you patent something, you kind of have to give away how it works. And that's our secret sauce, so we don't even patent it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Now tell me something, though. You're doing all this. You build the machine, you build the process, stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Like, how did you start out? Like, when you're making $3 a card, but you have all the salary, all the staff, all the stuff like that. Like, were you funded early on, or did you? I know you sold Sell It.
Yep.
Right? And did you just literally pivot that money into this, or did you just take the plunge again? What did you do?
Yeah, no, I did. I pivoted in. This was a slower moving train than Sell It. Sell It, I hit a good ramp. There was good margins. I was able to grow that pretty quickly organically without taking any funding. My funding for Sell It was unemployment. I was on unemployment for a while as I kind of built it up. With this one, I lived off my savings, but we started small too. I mean, it was just me for a while filling orders, and my wife. And at that time when we started, it was an off-the-shelf handwriting machine called an auto pen, which doesn't look anywhere near as good as what we do now. But if you Google handwritten robot, you'll see videos of our new robot. And if you go real far back, you'll see our old robot. Wow. Our new robot is way better. But when we started off, it was the same thing. I started, on the kitchen table, 2 handwriting robots. I eventually moved those to a facility in Chicago. And then I moved out to Phoenix, and they followed me here. And actually, my head of operations used to run 4 robots, and now she oversees a team of 22 managing 140 some odd robots. So totally organic. I've never, the last company I took a little equity financing, this company is fully owned by me.
That's so cool. That is really cool.
And what happened with the robots is it was out of desperation, just real quick.
Really?
We were using these auto pens. They are terrible machines to manage at scale. You could get one going if you want to do a couple hundred notes a year or something like that. But if you need a lot of notes quickly, you need multiple of them, and they do not scale. And so I thought, geez, we have to come up with our own. And necessity is the mother of invention. I actually wrote the software. I went through 2 rounds of hiring mechanical engineers to do the hardware. Found a really good firm that helped us the second time, got us our proof of concept. Then I brought in Arizona State University talent, kids out of ASU to take it from there. And we're on revision 5 or 6 now. And it's wild around here. We have, everything's built internally. So we have laser cutters cutting parts. We have 3D printers growing parts, programmer. It's really wild. It's different.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I think one of the things that, I love how sort of the technology works. What I've found is, even after I've expressed to a potential client, like, no, I didn't actually handwrite this.
Yeah.
They're so impressed at the quality level of it that they're actually more intrigued than if I sat down and handwrote it myself.
Yeah.
Because what they do every single time is they're like, once I tell them it's fake, and they're like, fake, meaning I didn't write it, then they look at it like trying to crack the code. Like they're kind of like trying to make it.
They scrutinize it. What we say is, people will only know that it's written by a robot if you ask them, was this written by a robot? And if you ask them that leading question, they'll scrutinize the hell out of it. But if you don't ask them that, then they'll just appreciate that you sent them a handwritten note. And it passes the smear test. The writing's written with a Pilot G2 ballpoint pen. You can pick them up at Office Max. So it does smear if you smudge your finger on it. Yeah, and
which is good.
Yeah.
The more authentic, the better, right? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because people love the technology, but we try to really focus on the benefits of sending handwritten notes. And I'm here to tell people to send handwritten notes, not to use our service. But in the end, unless you automate it, it's not going to get done. So use a service like us. There's us. There's a few other players around. I believe we're orders of magnitude larger than the next guy, and certainly orders of magnitude better. But yeah, I mean, just try to automate it, because if you don't automate it, it won't get done.
Yeah. Well, we have had a lot of internal talks about benchmarks and milestones from which they're going to get these handwritten cards. And the reason why we do that is, besides the novelty of people just saying like, wow, the guy literally took the time to write me a handwritten card. What I'm trying to do is like literally look at my buyer's journey and trying to figure out where would some of these really humanized touches really make a difference.
Yeah.
But if I also, what's easy to do is easy not to do.
Yeah.
And then you look back on a previous sale and you're like, did you ever send them the card? Did you ever do that? And they're like, well, it was on my list, but I just got too busy.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
We have. I'll give you some examples. We have a high-end perfume brand that sends our notes when somebody orders online. So if you go on their website and buy their overpriced perfume, you'll end up with a handwritten note thanking you. If you go into a store and buy the perfume at like a Nordstrom or a Neiman or whatever, their clerks are supposed to sit down and write you the handwritten note. But what happened was my wife and I went into a Neiman Marcus. I saw the perfume sitting there. I'm like, oh, we write these handwritten notes. The woman came over and started talking to us saying, could she help us? I said, no, I can't afford the perfume, but I just, we write your notes for you. She said, no, you don't. I have to do my own. And because of that, she's supposed to sit down and write her handwritten notes after merchandising the store, closing out the books, dealing with customers. It never gets done, right? So the company has the best intention for her to do it, but it never gets done. Versus another high-end luxury brand we work with, and by the way, not all our clients are luxury. I'll talk about that in a second. But another luxury brand has us automate for both in-store and online. So we'll customize the note with the person that helped them at the store, with the phone number of the store, with the name of the store, and we'll automatically send it out to everybody, which creates a much better user journey than depending on somebody that may or may not do it. But outside of the luxury space, I mean, we have actually in Pennsylvania, I don't know where in Pennsylvania, but it's a piano tuner in Pennsylvania, small business, 2 or 4 guy shop. And after they tune your piano, which only has to be done once a year, he automates to send a handwritten note to you, thanking you for the opportunity to be in your home and tune your piano. The next year, when he's back in your home to tune your piano again, that handwritten note is oftentimes sitting on top of the piano. So not only was it open, not only was it read, but it's sitting on the piano, which is, oftentimes the most prized possession that somebody owns in their fancy room, in their dining room where this piano is. That note is still sitting there for a year. Every time they play the piano, it's in there. So this stuff works for businesses from high-end perfumes to, small shops tuning pianos.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so cool. I was joking around with you before this this call that I still have Christmas gifts I just didn't send.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have 2 of them I can think of.
Well, that's actually, honestly, this year, that's good because the supply chain's all screwed up. So the fact that you've hoarded gifts from years prior is, now you're ahead of the game because it's going to be impossible to get gifts. So,
that's right.
So yeah. And what we do, what we've been doing is we actually send gift cards. So if you want to include in the handwritten note a Starbucks card, or an Amazon card, we do that, which turns out this time around to work really well because you can't send them anything physical anyway, but sending a physical gift card, and then the onus is on them to wait for that product to get fulfilled.
So and we have something in beta that we're going to be doing, and your product is a big part of it, is that we have a thing called SalesReach.io, and it makes a custom landing page for every client by name. You get to create a custom video or whatever it is. But the number one way to get them to click on the video is if the video looks custom to them.
Yes.
So what we're going to be trying to do is send them a letter, and on the letter would be, hey, go to the sales reach page, and the video is going to be a customized lunch bag.
Yeah.
It says, I want to do a lunch and learn, and it says Bob Smith on it, if that's the guy I'm trying to talk to, right? So it says Bob Smith. It's a lunch bag like this. And by the way, lunch is on me. You should have gotten your Grubhub gift card.
Smart. Yeah.
You know
really
what I mean?
smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So lunch and learns are one of those things that in this virtual world, people just don't want you in their office, but they are willing to jump on Zoom. So who's going to make that creative approach to just still continue on some of the things that you used to love? And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what I like about that, it's not, everything has a gimmicky angle, but that overall is not gimmicky. It's get their attention with the video. We work closely with a company called Bonjuro, which is kind of like what you were talking about, where it's custom videos, because the whole idea. And so we consider ourselves very similar. They're both custom. And the similarity between what they do and what we do is the perceived investment in time. Like people don't think that you can automate handwritten notes. So they think it took you 5 minutes to sit down. The same thing with the video. I don't know if that's photoshopped on there or whatever, or if it's actually a lunch bag with their name on it, but it's the perceived investment in time that really grabs people's attention.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I got some FedEx package on my desk and I opened it up and it was from some SEO company. And they wanted, it was like this book. And when you open up the book, on the top of it was this little video that played. It was like a little LCD screen. You open it up and it plays this video. First of all, the video was super boring. I never got through 2 minutes of the video. But what it did was it made me realize, geez, I must be worth a lot of money to them if they're going to FedEx me a $25 self-playing video. Do I really want to give these people that much margin? And number two, the whole thing was a gimmick. All I could think was, how do you make this thing work? Like, how does this work? Where's the battery? Where's the chip? Blah, 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 blah. So it's very gimmicky. Versus sending somebody a handwritten card or directing them to a video to watch online, it doesn't have that gimmick factor. And I actually emailed the guy back. I said, well, this is really nice, but have you ever thought of just sending out handwritten notes to your customers? Or it'll grab their attention maybe more, and I'll at least read the handwritten note versus watching some horribly produced video that was just, brainwash material. So I think people really appreciate, I personally, and granted I'm biased, but I would appreciate somebody sending me a handwritten note versus sending me some $25 piece of marketing junk.
The hyper-personalization, I think, is going to be the driving factor. You know what I mean? Because that video doesn't open it up, but if it opened up and said, David.
Yeah. Then maybe I'd watch.
I love these three things about your company.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, we'll get you on the first page of Google. It's a very different argument than, thanks for sending me this. Technology's cool. I open it up, and then I just shut it.
Yeah. It's just some blather commercial that just plays. And all I can think about, because I'm a nerd, is how does this thing work? Where's, how do you program it type deal?
Yeah. Very cool.
How can I get it to play Netflix?
Yeah. Now, do you know who Dan Kennedy is?
Yes.
Famous marketer?
Yes. I'm not so much Dan Kennedy, but Joe Polish. I don't know if you know Joe Polish.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, back here, 1 second. Oh, you know what? I was looking at Dan Sullivan. Well, Joe Polish is this marketing guy. He's got this thing called Genius Network. And I
used to be part of Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan.
Yeah.
And then Dan Sullivan, in his I forget what his program was, but it was like his VIP program. It used to be like the 10K Club or something like that. And then Joe Polish made I Love Marketing out of that. Yeah.
So the Genius Network of Joe Polish is, I'm familiar with, and I was involved for about a year, but I'm probably, it's a good program. I just didn't think I was a square peg in a round hole.
Yep. Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that, and that's not a slight on him. I mean, I don't think that there's any program that's always perfect for all people at all times. I just don't. You know what I mean? But I think the premise is still there. But the main reason I was talking about Dan Kennedy is that he started. He coined the phrase "lumpy mail," and essentially, what lumpy mail was, and Mark Schaefer wrote about it in his book, is the idea or the concept of whenever you mail something, there's tons of envelopes that you'll just chuck without it opening.
Yeah.
But if you feel something in there, your brain is like, oh, it's like there's something in there that I open it.
Yeah.
And the whole premise is that the lumpy mail opens up a window of curiosity, and the curiosity gets you to open it.
Absolutely.
You could still have a bunch of junk inside, but the lumpy mail, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to wonder whether your technology, now that you got gift cards and stuff like that, whether you're going to start to get hit up by the lumpy mail guys.
You know,
there's a lot of Dan Kennedy believers out there.
Yeah, it's we should probably SEO target lumpy mail as a term. When I receive handwritten notes, I consider it kind of the dessert in the junk mail inbox. So I'll get my mail, I'll have my bills, the ongoing number of healthcare bills and everything else, and then I'll get junk mail, and then I'll have handwritten notes, and I'll always put the handwritten notes at the back. So I process the junk first, and then I have the handwritten note. And I really consider a handwritten note to be a unboxing experience, as dumb as it sounds. But, oh, who sent me this? Oh, Chris sent me this. You know, you think about it for a second. So there's literally 2 seconds of marketing, just wondering, what did Chris send me? That type of thing. And then you open it up and you see a handwritten note in there, and then the gift card drops out. That creates a great user experience. It's the reason we don't do postcards. Yes, we could do postcards, but for one, when a postcard gets to you, it's immediately discounted, even if it's written on the back. Number two, it's beaten up. When you get a postcard, it arrives beaten up. And what kind of marketing message is that if it's beaten up? So we like to protect your gift, the handwritten note or note and gift card, in a box of an envelope. So yeah.
What is cool about what you just said is that's the exact same thing I do. Like, junk looks like junk, and if it feels like junk, I don't even read it. Like, in other words, there could be Shakespeare there, chuck, 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 and then I try to figure out what is there. Now, what's pretty cool about this experience is that we keep talking about, the note on the inside, but when the note's written like that on the actual envelope, you guys do the envelopes too, right?
Yep, we do the envelopes and we put real stamps. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I know it sounds weird, but this is what the letter, the outside of the letter actually is what you just said. It takes it from the junk part of the front to the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the idea. And yeah, it works for me. I mean, my wife sends them. I had a friend send one to me using our service, and it was for a baby shower gift, and the wife opened it and she said, "Wow, Richard really has good handwriting, beautiful handwriting." I said, "The handwriting is named after you, Jenna." She didn't know. She didn't know it was one of ours. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I think one of the things that's interesting about this, is that when you go and you sort of go and you do this handwritten thing, what I like is that you're also able to, there's portions of your website where you're able to customize the card. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, we have our own custom front. I believe we're working with you guys now to be putting our team picture right up here.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to also work out so that we can get a QR code as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going to be. I'm talking, there's a guy in my office who's running point on this project.
So right now,
are you noticing QR?
Yeah, so right now what we'll say is we're happy to do QR. It just can't be an individual QR. So if you had 10,000 cards with 10,000 different QRs, we're just not set up to handle it, because yes, everything's written by a robot, but there's a human there that has to QA. And if the robot screws up and it sends card 4 instead of card 3 through the machine, we just can't. So what we would say is just set up that QR to go to a landing page, and then they fill in their info or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot of QR. We do a lot of personalized URL. We have a pet brand that includes paper party hats, so Lumpy Mail, in their note, and then they send it to the pet's owner on the pet's birthday, and they ask for you to take a picture of your pet in the party hat and post it online. So there's Instagram ability there. Yeah, I mean, we've heard it all. We do inbox notes for major mattress brands and stuff like that. We do, if needed, we can do sticky notes. So if you want to include a sticky notes that's handwritten, include that. We can work on those for you too. So yeah.
Wow, that is really cool. I didn't know about the sticky notes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a large ministry that's including sticky notes with their notes as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, you know what's also interesting, and so I had a friend. Well, it's my friend's mom, and she had a knack for complimenting businesses via handwritten letters. And then over the years, the amount of gifts that she got back from these companies she liked because she took the time
Yeah.
to write a letter. You know what I mean? Like even like Chick-fil-A, if you ever write something to Chick-fil-A, like expect a $20 gift card. They are so good about
Oh,
saying
wow.
thank you back. It's insane. And then I remember thinking like, oh, I'd love to be that guy who's just naturally generous. And when I see good customer service, I want to shout it out, or see something
Yeah.
innovative, I want to shout it out. But I still run into the same problem. It's like, love the experience, really awesome. Am I going to sit down and handwrite a letter?
Right.
Probably not. Probably not. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, but
But-
if you had it on your iPhone, you could just hit, your template, save a template and hit send. And then, it's funny you say that. So across the parking lot from our office, we have a prominent businessman that's wrote, using our service. There was a guy that wrote a op-ed piece in the paper. He was a police officer, and it resonated with the businessman across the street who uses our service. He sent him a handwritten note thanking him for writing the op-ed piece. The policeman showed up at his door crying with a handwritten note. And the businessman was laughing to himself, thinking, geez, just don't turn around because you'll see the big handwritten sign across the way that actually did this. But yeah, it's interesting how it impacts people very differently. And
cool.
it's able to create those kind of moments for sure.
That's so cool. Now tell me something. We started to talk about integration.
Yes.
We're a HubSpot Platinum partner. You're obviously doing it for Salesforce, for Zapier, and stuff like that. What does it look like from a process standpoint? You know what I mean? I'm an agency.
Yeah.
I know this because I've been working with you guys, but can you unpack what's the process like from beginning to end?
Yeah. So as far as integration or overall?
Overall.
Okay.
So, for example, like I'm an agency and I find out about your program and I see the output, but I'm like, how do I get from here to there? Do I download an app?
All the integrations are free, but you'd want to first sign up with us. You can just go to handwrytten.com, sign up. If you want some bulk pricing, so if you're planning on doing a lot of notes with us, you can prepay or set up a subscription. And all this is outlined on our pricing page at handwrytten.com/pricing. But you don't have to. You could start by sending one card and seeing if you like it and all that. As far as the integrations, Salesforce right now, unfortunately, is limited to HubSpot right now is unfortunately limited to HubSpot Sales CRM. If you're trying to do something off a inbound lead, off a form or something like that, you'd have to use Zapier or Integromat or some other way to integrate with Salesforce, with HubSpot. We are working on a more robust HubSpot offering. It's just we've got a pretty heavy pipe right now of development. Salesforce we integrate directly with, where it's actually kind of our premier integration. So with Salesforce, we add handwritten with inside Salesforce. So you can click a contact, say send handwritten note. It'll show you all the cards within Salesforce. So you don't even leave Salesforce. You select one, type your note, include a gift card. It then records that back to the activity tab of Salesforce. So you never have to leave and you have the full tracking right there. If you're not using HubSpot or Salesforce and you want to use us, Zapier is available, Integromat, Integrately, or our API are kind of the ways people do it. Integromat's really simple. Zapier is really simple. Integromat's a little bit more geeky, but I like it a lot now, and I recommend people check it out. And then there's Integrately, which is kind of a more cost-effective version of Zapier. And it's, we're here to assist you. You don't need to do any of the integration if you don't want to. You could always send notes in bulk via an Excel sheet or something like that. But I always try to push integration as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this is a perfect automation play.
Yeah. I mean, when you go on our website and you request samples, that's all through Zapier. It assigns you a sales rep. It sends you the sample kit through our Zap or Handwritten Zap. And then we follow up with you through Zapier and Handwritten and all our sales channels. So yeah, it's made
great.
to be integrated. That was the idea from the start.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, David, I know that you have a hard stop in about 5 minutes, so
Sure.
I wanted to thank you so much for this. What I want to do is, for the people that listen to the show and stuff like that, I'm also going to include at the end of this video, I'm going to get some B-roll of David, your machine actually in action, so that they don't just think that you're printing with a handwritten font.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of the power is literally like looking at the machine and seeing how it's built and how unique it is.
Well, yeah, we're proud of it. It's a complicated venture over here, but it's kind of marrying old world technology with new world old world charm with new world technology, and we're thrilled that people are finally learning about it some 7 years later. So yeah, please visit handwrytten.com, request samples on the business tab, and we'd love to figure out a way to work with your listeners.
Oh, this is great. This is great. And to my listeners, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're going to be trying to bring innovators like David onto the show as often as possible. I would absolutely check out handwrytten.com. It's spelled HANDWRYTTEN. But literally, I just typed in handwritten notes, and David, it looks like you got your advertising and branding game on point. You guys are on the top 3 for almost everything written for your name. But again, thanks again to my subscribers. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.